We welcome you to the Blues Game Day Live alongside Kelly Chase, Darren Pang, and the Blues got the Florida Panthers in town here before a nice little break. And
Who
Chase,
needs it more, you or them?
I think we do as broadcasters, the ebbs and flows of the season, but I think the players are really looking forward to that break. So let's get to the break first, and how important is it, Chaser, just to win the last game before you get off to a break?
Well, it certainly sets the stage for a recovery that you're going to enjoy and not the tension of worrying about what you got to do when you get back. Don't you think it affects you, though, taking that kind of time off when the other team kind of gets back into the stride?
Well, that's the part that I've always thought of as the CBA mandated this break. And I love the break as much as anybody, but I think the one thing that they did do well is knowing that the team that you're going to play coming off the break is another team that's been on a break.
Right.
But going away from the rink, for me being a former goalie, Chaser, I don't know what it was like for you, but for me taking off my pads and getting away from the rink for a couple of days was good. For 4, for 5, for 6 days, man, there's no way to replicate pucks coming at you 110 miles an hour.
Well, you certainly lose that edge that you had, and that you saw the Blues last year. They come back, they end up in Chicago, and that first period was like, oh my God, it was like an onslaught. But they came and competed pretty well after that. But I think that you hit the nail on the head. They've done a good job of saying, listen, the two teams that are on break are going to come back and play head-to-head against each other. That'll give them the opportunity to kind of get the bugs out of the system. Then it'll go unnoticed, and they can carry their game on from there. As far as the St. Louis Blues go, they had a little setback in the last hockey game. And a team that competed to get back into hockey games, that found a way to get back into hockey games, what are they going to have to do tonight against Florida, a team that's got some real skill?
Yeah, you know what, Chaser? Florida surprises a lot of teams. I don't know why they do. They're a good team. A couple of years ago when Gerard Gallant had this club, they were rolling. They were humming. He was the coach of the year. Inexplicably, they let him go and made some really questionable decisions personnel-wise. They're back on track again under Bob Bugner. There's two players in particular. We're just scanning the notes, and we know that Barkov's a good player. Alex Barkov is one of the most unheralded two-way centermen, maybe outside the players. Everybody in the league knows that he's a great two-way player, so it's not a secret inside when you're watching them play. In their last game in Detroit, so that's 2 games ago, he had 10 shots on goal.
That's a good month for me.
10 shots on goal in one game. Now let's back that up. Vincent Trocheck, which might be unheralded player number 2 in the National Hockey League, he skates 100 miles an hour. He's got a low center of gravity. He was on the North American team for the World Cup and a terrific player. He played with Colton Parayko there. So at Columbus, what did he do? He had 10 shots. 2 players in 2 games had 20 shots total.
I know.
And they're both averaging 22 minutes. So when we talk about the Florida Panthers, why don't we just start with those 2 guys?
Well, you're right. And I think one of the things that needs to be mentioned, most importantly, too, is that they've got about 4 or 5 guys that are young guys that give them that secondary scoring. If you play the track meet game with the Florida Panthers, they'll win. And they'll win. Their back end with their goaltender certainly can make a difference. But if you were talking about those 2 guys being on the power play or running a track meet against you, they're 2 of the highly skilled guys in the league. And you're right. Because of maybe the market, they go unnoticed a lot. Yeah. There's not a lot of talk about them. Really, really high skill set.
Yeah, and on the blue line, too, I think this matchup will be a good competitive one because Aaron Ekblad, who was a Calder Trophy winner as Rookie of the Year just a couple of years ago, he plays a lot with Keith Yandel, and we've seen Yandel in Arizona. We saw him with the New York Rangers, and he's a guy that'll take some chances. He makes good outlet passes. They've been a really good tandem as well on the back end. So I guess I'm looking at the Blues now, Chaser, and the D they're coming on now a little bit. Joel Edmondson got involved. Colton Parayko had a goal in Philadelphia. You had Carl Gunnarsson firing that howitzer in Washington.
The drifter.
We didn't put a shot clock on that. Sorry, Gunnar.
We had it on. It just failed under the radar. We had it set at the minimum 51.
I know Papa Gunnarsson is watching in Sweden. But all in all, that's a good sign. So if Florida's got that answer in the offensive aspect from their back end, don't forget about Matheson as well. He's a really fine young defenseman, number 19. So then the Blues are starting to see some of that. Maybe one guy that wants to get going a little bit offensively would be the captain, Alex Pietrangelo.
Well, he's a guy that I think, he takes a lot of things, I think, on his own personally. I know that it seemed like almost somewhere in that Vancouver game in that area where he all of a sudden, started to kind of do more than what he was doing at the start of the year. He was just playing at the start of the year. It was almost like the woes of the team. He took the burden upon himself. His play dipped off a little bit, but you see the effort out of him every night. You see how he blocks shots and pays the price. He's such a good defender. I think once he gets the feet back to where they were at the start of the year, that quick two-step out of the hole kind of a play and get on the rush, Alex's game will be right around as well.
You know what else I like about the Florida Panthers in this game? There's a little angst. There's a little edge to it. First game of the season, Michael Haley, who's not the biggest guy in the world, but you can tell me about, don't underestimate small fighters, but he and Chris Thorburn had a really good scrap in that game.
Right. Well, they do want to, they have this energy about them that's instilled through Bobby Bugner, their coach, that, hey, we're going to stand up for one another. We're going to make sure that we're not going to get pushed around. And to a guy on that team, they played with that little bit of edge this year.
Don't
and
they?
I think, you know, they're a team too that can get on a roll, and if they hit their stride and get into the playoffs, that's a team that can make some noise. They got goaltending, they got good defense that are active, and they move the puck. And again, their forwards are skilled enough that they got secondary scoring.
We're going to take a peek behind us because this is the Blues having their skate right now. And this happens quite often, but they're working on now 2 power play units. So 1 power play unit's on one side. This power play unit here, led by Patrick Berglund, Tage Thompson, and Vladdy Sobotka, are on this side. The goaltender that's in this end, JK, is Jake Allen. So he's been there all practice long. That tells us that he's going to be the starting goaltender for this game. And I was...
You know, you just called me JK. That leads me to believe that you need some sleep.
Sorry, Chaser.
Either that or you've got too much sleep lately.
Sorry, Chaser. Apologize for that. I've gotten too much sleep lately, by the way.
Right.
I actually went to bed in Washington. But I think it's important for Jake, too, to have a good game here in this one. And he'll go up against James Reimer, actually taking over for Roberto Luongo. This will be his 15th consecutive start, and he's played pretty well.
He's played really well for them. Last game, tremendous saves, like highlight reel saves, so he doesn't quit on pucks. And here for Jake, yes, Jake, you know, he needs to get back and have a solid win. He's played well in games. He's played where he's given up a couple he'd like to have back. But the one thing about Jake Allen is he's the type of guy that might need this rest coming up in the break the most. And if you could get a win going out of it, I think it'll be nothing but confidence for him.
Okay, now let's go to the power plays right here. I mean, is there things that we've seen lately that have been better than others?
They got a guy in front of the net.
Alex
Steen in front of the net
you.
makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to play perimeter hockey on the power play, you're not going to have success. And listen, I might be old school, and I didn't play a lot on the power play, but I did listen to the guys that did. And I still listen to the guys that did. And if you don't have action in front of the net, you know, you're widening out the box, and they just stand out there and allow you to shoot. The size of the equipment, the athleticism of goalies, you can't score from the outside anymore. Somebody has to be in the middle of the ice, pulling guys to the middle, where you're going to get another 2 steps to the inside and have opportunities, whether it's on the second chance, a redirection, or a screen. But if you don't have guys in front of the net, you are not scoring on a power play.
Yeah, I gave up a lot of goals on the penalty kill, and the reason why is because I couldn't see the puck. I mean, if you want a one-timer from a goalie, and it's on the top of the circles, which is approximately 46 feet away, he's going to stop it. It's going to have to be a howitzer like Ovechkin's. And
we talk about Brett Hall all the time here.
Yep, and why wouldn't we?
He went to the front of the net.
He did.
He drifted into lanes and drifted into quiet ice in areas in the seam between the hash marks and dots. But when there were shots coming, he was in front of the net. And he's got a lot of redirections in his career on the power play where he's redirected pucks. So he didn't live on the outside and just try to make a half-hearted career out of, you know, a one-timer. He got where it was ugly, where you had to pay the price in the middle of the ice and scored goals.
Well, another guy that paid the price in front, even though he was the playmaker on the goal line, was Bernie. I mean, Bernie Fedorko would go to that front of the net if that transition took place. I mean, I had to face Brian Sutter a lot. I saw number 11 in front of that net an awful lot, and he always found his way in at the right times. And one thing that Alexander Steen did on that goal by Braden Shen, I mean, it just barely must have glanced off his skate, but to me it didn't even matter. The goalie doesn't see the puck because of the way that he came across. He timed it perfectly.
Right.
And all Braden Shen has to do is hit the net on that particular play, and you're going to have success whether it's a goal or not. But when we talk about being in front of the net, it doesn't mean being stationary. It means moving. You have to have a little bit of movement and time your movement with the eyes of the goaltender to give him some trouble.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going and reacting back and forth, the goalie's got to look around, and just that second, half second when he's behind your back and the shot's coming is when he reacts and has to look and find the puck because it's coming at him.
Yeah.
And so for goaltenders, that's when the luck becomes involved, because a lot of times their positioning, it'll hit them. If they're not correctly in the right position, just a drifter like Gunnarsson's goes in the net.
Yep, good point. And so this game tonight is on 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Midwest and 7 o'clock on KMOX. Chaser and Curbs have got the call there, and JK's sitting over there watching watching the skate as always, and I must have glanced over there. That's why, I can't believe I did that. I am, but we are looking forward to the game tonight. Come on out. Big fleece blankets tonight, huh?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Right? First 12,000? And they're beautiful fleece blankets, by the way. They're bigger than I am. They're huge.
Huge.
Very huge.
Huge.
So come on out here. It's a great giveaway. This time of year, it's a keepsake forever. Beautiful quality. We love that stuff. And love to see you here at Scott Trade Center tonight at 7 o'clock. The puck drop will be right around 7:05. The weather's getting a little bit better, too. It's not in the single digits.
Warming up. My kids don't like it. They're off the pond.
Oh, no. Darn it all. Okay, we got to get her cold again, bud.
All right.
Well, I look forward to tonight, Chaser.
All right. That's going to be fun.
For Kelly Chase, I'm Darren Pang. Enjoy the game, everybody.